Welcome back to another episode of Motogp Mac, and today we're going to show you the new KALEX chassis that has just broken ground in Jerez this morning. Now, here is the new KALEX chassis as you can see it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare it to the old chassis that Honda have been using. So up first is the original chassis, and you will see in the original chassis it does have the weld across, but it's like a T-weld there. Now this chassis was the one that they used in Valencia and Sepang, and here is the one that they have upgraded to for Marc Marquez, and you will see that it does have a weld in the middle, but you can see the chassis frame gets very much so thinner than the original one towards where the rider's foot is. Now onto the new KALEX chassis. So there's a couple of things that you will immediately notice here is, firstly, the weld across the chassis is in a different place. Then you will also notice that the thickness of the chassis is by far thicker than what was on the Honda originally and currently. Now, you will also notice just by the top of where the tank is, you will notice there is a hole there. And also, you will also see where the pivot bolt goes in for the swing arm. You will see that there is a milled out section there. Now, the other thing that you will notice is that the top of the chassis rail is much straighter than the original one, which I find very, very interesting. But again, it is, definitely the new chassis from KALEX. Also, I know this because normally Honda put a product code or a chassis code just under normally where the pivot bolt is, but there is no code there here. So this tells me that this is definitely a new and a test chassis. Also, where I noticed some difference was in the actual headstock. And here I'm going to show you the original bike's headstock. You can see there was a weld above the headstock there. Now, if we compare that to the one on Marquez's one, you will see there is actually two welds around the headstock. And, when we put it to the KALEX one, you can see there's actually no weld above in the headstock. So it tells me definitely that this is a fully designed KALEX chassis rather than a slightly tweaked one. The rail sizes are different, so the approach is very different as well compared to what Honda normally have, especially where I noticed it is in the pivot points of the bike. The bolts are actually sticking out, which is very KALEX, whereas normally with Honda they're sunk in. So I think it is very interesting to see. I can't wait to see the times and see what actually happens here in this. There is a possibility, though, that Bradl could have been running this on one of his bikes during the weekend, but we don't know that for certain. But there it is, all in its grandeur, I suppose. Love to know what are your thoughts on the new KALEX chassis. Definitely leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video.